At this point in your marketplace journey, you've identified a problem and built a marketplace to solve it for your users. You've even started facilitating transactions. But you're not in the clear just yet. Are transactions happening consistently? Are you seeing signs of improved liquidity or more user signups? Are people returning to your marketplace to get their problems solved again? All these are signs that your marketplace is close to problem-solution fit. It's a key stage in proving your marketplace can become profitable. In this video, we're talking about what problem-solution fit is, why it's important, and how to reach it. Let's dive in. The problem-solution fit is a stage where your marketplace is consistently facilitating transactions between the two sides of your platform and collecting revenue from that. At this point, you might still be operating a concierge MVP or at least an MVP that's partially manual, facilitating matching or transactions yourself. Your operational costs can still exceed your revenue. But you've validated that there are at least some people on both sides of your marketplace for whom you're able to solve a problem and do it well enough that they want to come back. As a result, you're seeing a steady stream of transactions. Your marketplace is succeeding in helping people find what they're looking for. In other words, you've reached problem-solution fit. So how do you get to this point? It's tough getting your first transaction, and the second one might be just as hard. Startup expert Paul Graham writes that the most common reason startup companies die is a loss of faith in the business. This is especially common for marketplaces, where it may seem like the business is not going anywhere for a long time. But perseverance through tough times has led many founders to success. For example, it took formal wear marketplace Queenly months just to get one transaction. But the following summer, co-founders Trisha Bantique and Kathy Zoe were accepted to a startup work retreat.
At that point, we were already getting pretty consistent transactions, maybe 2 to 5 a day. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it was steadily increasing. We got there and we found out that most of the other founders didn't even have a product, didn't have revenue. And I think as first-time founders, you never really know what traction is good traction until you can compare it relatively. And all of the mentors there were very impressed. And they said, you girls need to quit your corporate jobs today and start fundraising ASAP because you have more traction than we had when we
got funded.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, you know what? I think this is a pretty good sign. I think 1 to 2 months later, we both quit our jobs and went into it full time.
So the signs don't need to be huge, but promising. Things should constantly be moving forward, like for Queenly. You should see some improvement every month. More supplier signups, more transactions, or improved liquidity. If no progress happens despite your continued efforts, you need to re-evaluate your approach. In step 3 of this guide, we discussed Andrew Chen's concept, the atomic network. That's the smallest network needed that can stand on its own. Once you notice things are working smoothly for this initial group of people, your atomic network has been established and you can be confident that you've reached problem-solution fit. If you try to scale your business too early, before reaching problem-solution fit and product-market fit, which is the topic of the next video, you may run into big problems. In the words of Andre Hagiu and Simon Rothman, growing too early amplifies flaws in the business model, making them harder to fix. That means you first need to iterate on your offering in your first market until you have problem-solution fit. Here's how to do it. Let's say 50 people sign up on your marketplace, but no transactions happen. It's important to know who these people are because you'll want to contact them and ask them why. Did they not understand what the site was for? Look into how you're communicating your value proposition. Was nothing they wanted on offer? You need more supply. Was it too difficult to find what they were looking for? Time to rethink your matching process. Or perhaps they did find something, but did not complete a transaction. You may need to redesign your transaction flow or think about your pricing. You'll need a model that extracts enough value, but not too much, from your transactions. Finding the right model can take quite a bit of trial and error. After you've made the changes, bring more people on board and see if it made a difference. And don't be afraid of negative feedback. If your users tell you, this marketplace sucks, it needs this feature and that, it means they care. You've struck a nerve. People really want your solution and want it to solve their problems even better. What you don't want to hear is crickets. Figuring out all these things takes time. You'll need to iterate many times, and for that, you're going to need more users to invite from your initial constraint. it's time to employ some early-stage growth strategies. You're not scaling into new markets yet or attempting to reach the biggest audience possible. Instead, you want to reach your early adopters who will help you validate problem-solution fit. Here are some ways to do that. 1. Offline strategies. Join local meetups and events. Go to conventions or hit the streets. There are so many different ways to meet your potential users in person. For example, in the video on onboarding supply, I mentioned car-sharing marketplace Drivela distributing flyers on cars. Universities can also house great initial communities for marketplaces. The secondhand clothing marketplace Curtsy's initial category was formal dresses on campuses in southern US. Their strategy was created by one of the original co-founders, Sarah.
She got up in her sorority during chapter meeting on Monday, and she said, okay, everybody take out your phone and download this app right now. You're going to help your sister by doing that. So everybody downloaded it, and then she would go try to get invited to the chapter meetings of other sororities. Then she would put the feelers out to all of her friends. She would get a rack of their dresses, and then she would take that rack of dresses around from sorority house to sorority house and do these little trunk shows where people could just rent right off the rack.
These types of offline strategies can be vital for your marketplace in the early stages. They teach you about your early adopters and what they need in a way that's difficult to replicate in any other way. 2. Online communities. If your initial audience is active in online communities specific to your niche, engage in those communities yourself. And don't just advertise your platform, but talk with other community members organically and take an interest in them to show you're not there to just make money. You might also reach out to influencers to try out your platform and spread the word, and offer them and their followers discount codes for the trouble. 3. Paid advertising. Running targeted ads online is a great way to validate whether there is a demand for your platform and attract early users, if you have the budget. And even though you don't need to get back every dollar you put into ads at this stage, don't pour huge amounts of money into this just yet either. Keep your campaigns targeted and short. 4. Word of mouth. Big players like Airbnb, Lyft, Instacart, TaskRabbit, and many others surveyed by Lenny Ratitsky state that customers telling each other about their platform was a key driver for growth. Word of mouth is difficult to engineer though. You'll need a great solution to a real problem, and you need to make people excited enough to tell others about it. Word of mouth working is fantastic proof that you're approaching problem-solution fit. 5. Supply driving demand. This growth lever is actually unique to marketplaces. Suppliers doing their own marketing and inviting customers to the platform is a great way for marketplaces to grow. Give your suppliers incentives and easy ways to market their products or services. And this ties to the network effects built into most marketplaces. High-quality suppliers bring in more customers, and the growing customer base in turn attracts more suppliers. If this is a lever that should work for you, it should work from the very beginning. And 6. Direct sales. Especially if you're running a B2B marketplace, direct sales may be the best and only sensible way to acquire new users. Finally, I want to say, brainstorm your own ideas as well. The examples I shared from Curtsy and Drivela are just some ways founders figured out how to reach their specific audience. How will you reach yours? Let's recap the main points of this video. Problem-solution fit is the stage of your marketplace where you consistently facilitate transactions between supply and demand and collect revenue from those transactions. Your operational costs can still exceed your revenue at this stage, and you don't need huge traction. Instead, you need promising signs that your marketplace can become profitable. Reaching problem-solution fit signals that you've found at least some people on both sides of your marketplace, and you're able to solve a problem for them well enough that they keep coming back. To reach problem-solution fit, you'll need to iterate on your offering and have the right people on board. Ask for feedback from your early adopters and make changes based on it. And to find those early adopters, employ early-stage growth strategies. Offline events and marketing, online communities, targeted advertising if you have the budget, or tap into word of mouth and supply driving demand. When you're confident you've reached problem-solution fit, it's time to start automating things to reach product-market fit and growing your platform. That's up next.